I have not prepared a TED Talk. They're all so professional and organized and slick, and so I'm not going to do that. So I'm Craig Cohon, and I want to welcome you to the first of many, hopefully, of TED Walks. It's a walk to have immersive campaigning on the climate issue. It's a walk to learn from local people, local mayors. It's a walk that brings CEOs and activists and journalists and politicians together to get uncomfortable. And it's hopefully a walk for hope and action. I have a deep belief after walking for 126 days that you have to slow down to speed up. And now to the talk. And actually, it's not really the talk, it's the listening that's the most important. And so I've been listening to myself, and I've been listening to people around me. And for the past 35 years, I've been a business person, putting a lot of CO2 up into the environment. And I woke up, and it's time to take it down. I calculated my lifetime carbon footprint. I went to my 86 and 85-year-old parents, and I said, how many flights did I take? How many times did I eat meat? Mom, how many times did you buy me a new t-shirt in the 70s and 80s? When did we move from oil to diesel to gas to electric in the house? And I put 50 hours of work. I gave it to the United Nations, and then the United Nations basically said, interesting, we've never done that before, but the CO2 per kilo of meat in Canada is the highest in the world. And the jet fuel that was used in the 1960s in 727 planes is twice as potent as it is now. And so the carbon calculation was a real thing, but calculating it all the way back to 1963, getting rid of it, and then trying, happy hypocrite, thank you for that. That's a great line, by the way, happy hypocrite. Trying to go to net zero as I move forward, and I'm failing miserably, but I'm trying my best. Obviously, there's carbon calculations for today, where you could calculate your air travel, and you could calculate your heating, and calculate your purchasing, and calculate your eating of meat, and it gives you a calculation, which is around average 7 tons per person in the world, and around 18 tons per person. Whoa, you okay? See, this is the scary part about the TED Walk. You gotta keep on looking where you're going. You have to look where you're going to not fall. So the cost of me living on this planet with the real cost of carbon would be €1 million between 0 and 60. And I was willing to pay that because it's the right thing to do moving forward, and I encourage other people to start thinking about carbon like the cost of water, or the cost of electricity, or the cost of labor, or the cost of sugar, or the cost of vanilla, or the cost of anything that goes into products and services.
Over there. Pesha, London to Istanbul. Pesha. Благодари. Я пешком в Лондон за Истанбул.
Браво.
Ничего.
А къде спи, къде почива?
So this is one bed, another bed, and then my bed comes out here. It is a walk-in Orient Express because walkers, I've had 77 walkers sleep in the container with me in one room. Not a lot of people have walked from London to Istanbul via Berlin, right? Okay, so maybe some people have walked from London to Istanbul, but not via Berlin. So it took 2.5 months to plan. I had an incredible planning team do meter by meter to make sure that it went from the 10 big cities I wanted to go to, that it was the reverse route of climate refugees. Climate refugees come from Istanbul to London, the opposite way. I wanted to make sure we go through past military trails, trade trails, small villages, large cities, staying off roads mostly. Coming up. Oh my God, that's a 60-year-old mode right there. For the first 3 months, my cognitive skills were diminished considerably. to be brutally frank. My feet grew 3 sizes. I'm a centimeter taller. I was in fear and fight and flight mode for senses, and so my cognitive skills were very low, to be honest. And then about 2 weeks ago, I started to shed a layer of skin like a snake, and my cognitive skills started coming back. And the profound thought is, it's not about the system, it's not about capitalism, it's not about growth, it's not about a new type of energy, it's a change in consciousness. And if we can't connect, I don't care if you're a Bulgarian, I don't care if you're a dentist or an activist or a police officer, those are all identity for me. If we can't connect on this issue as a civilization without borders, because CO2 affects everyone, then we have a problem. So I think we have to start thinking differently and behaving differently. When I meet mayors and people in other forms of potential power, I try to understand where they are now in their village, in their city, around putting less CO2 up in the sky, and is there an opportunity to take CO2 down? So you have this, and you have this, and then you have that big factory.
Yes.
And that big factory is putting out incredible amounts of CO2. And so you could actually suck down CO2. Do you know how?
We try.
Okay, so I'm going to send you a bunch of ideas.
Okay.
So one of them is called biochar, where you take all the agricultural waste, you burn it at very high temperatures without oxygen, you spread it over your fields, and it sucks in 3 times the amount of CO2.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, and they're doing it in Stockholm, and I want to make sure that I get it to you.
Okay.
Because number 1, you could create jobs, and number 2, you could create revenue by selling the credits to Europe. So that's what I like to do.
Thank you very much.
And get rid of, you have to balance out.
Yes, it should.
As I've had an amazing walk with incredible people that have inspired me, and maybe I've inspired them. People say, oh, you only met with a mayor that has 7,000 people in their village. This mayor's smarter than me. For sure. She's accountable for 7,000 humans. She gets fined if she has bad air quality personally. I don't get fined by anybody. I'm only accountable to myself and my family and my friends. I mean, listen, the difference between me and her and what she's doing versus what I'm doing is outstanding. And so I think we have to stop waiting. Everyone is waiting. There's a great Dr. Seuss book in America. It's called, Oh, the Places You'll Go, and you get stuck in the waiting place for the rain to come, or the bus to come, or for you to make $1 million. And we're all waiting for someone else to make something happen, and we have oil spills in the sky every day. What are people waiting around for? To have it come closer to them? To actually have the fires come closer to them, or the droughts, or the massive heat waves, or millions of climate refugees that are going to come from other parts of the world into Bulgaria and into Europe and into the United States and into everywhere that is going to be ravaged by climate? Come on. I think the earth could sustain us if we redistribute the wealth in a different way. As you know, the 1% is taking way too much of the resources of the planet. And so we can have a thriving planet with a thriving population with 2.4% children per family or whatever it is, and make it work if we redistribute wealth. And I think one of the ways to redistribute wealth, in all honesty, is to stop the bullshit of not putting carbon pricing into our gap accounting principles. So we have to start having the cost of carbon into every product, just like the cost of sugar. And if we don't do that, we're done. It's pretty simple. Mark Carney's trying to do it. The UN's trying to do it. No one's pushed it over the line. It will bankrupt mining companies. It will bankrupt fossil fuel companies by putting the price of carbon in. But it'll be a big change in behavior because it'll be a market mechanism that hopefully shifts many, many people.
Atmospheric CO2 injected into concrete
then mineralized and permanently fixed in concrete. So if I was staying in Bulgaria longer, I'd like to talk to the CEO of the largest concrete company because he could do this. He or she could do this. So this is,
Concrete production, you mean?
yes, this is CO2 embedded in concrete. I made Lego blocks from them. Kind of fun.
Take the carbon and
The carbon's in here. The carbon is inside of here. So you could actually build buildings that suck CO2 in. Yes, and I'm trying to get other people to do the same. So with the people that can afford to remove their lifetime carbon footprint and invest in carbon removal technology, I'm trying to convince them to do that. I don't believe this is about saving the planet at all. I believe it's about saving ourselves. And I think we have to transition that narrative because the planet is going to be fine. It's been around for a long time. It will spit us out and it will be fine. But we will die. Our whole species will die. So let's talk about saving ourselves and the common humanity that we need to have for that. It's great to have hope, but you gotta act. And if you don't act and just have hope, that doesn't get you anywhere.
What do you think can actually stop you?
Death. If I die, that's it. I'm not stopping. Why would you stop until you die? Roads are never closed. They're just occasionally blocked. Step by step, person by person, village by village, city by city. That's where the change is going to happen. It's going to happen when people start taking accountability for their own lives and not rely on anybody else. Thank you for inviting me. It was great fun. I haven't been to Sofia long, and I leave tomorrow, and I have a new walker coming, so it's great. But if any of you want to walk with me, please do. It's really quite interesting, and the conversations are great and very uncomfortable. They're uncomfortable for me, and I hope they're uncomfortable for you.
Lud, L-U-D, is crazy.
Lud.
Yeah, and Човек.
Lud Човek. Lud Човek. How do you say I am?
Аз съм
Аз съм Lud Човek.